Try to do a lot. Okay. Bye. Let's get back to the bullshit. Alrighty. Oh, fuck it. I wonder if I can flip that right now. Yes. Make it stressful. That's kind of centered. Alrighty then. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the live stream. If you're new to my channel, I do the world's most boring live stream where I do crafts and shit and just kind of listen to shit. But this October, well, it started a few weeks ago, we are going to be listening to some audiobooks while we do some crafty shit. So right now we are going through Count Dracula. Yes, Dracula, the classics. We've already gone through The Curse of the Call of Cthulhu. And I'm thinking after Bram Stoker's Dracula, we're going to probably be listening to Frankenstein. You know, just the classics. And once we get through that, we'll see what other spooky things we can find for the holiday season. Yeah, so I'm going to be working on some shit. There's going to be some sewing, so it's not going to be great audio listening to the audiobook. But feel free to, like, get some housework done while I'm playing in the background, or, you know, check in every once, twice, 3 times a lady and see how progress is being made. I'm not going to get this done tonight because I didn't have enough brains to actually go get the fabric I needed to finish it, because that would have been common sense, and I don't have much of that left anymore. Yes. We do what we can with what we got. Holy shit. I still can't log into my goddamn schedule to see if I'm actually missing work or if I should be at work right now, but I can't, so damn it. Am I live? Fuck you. How do I delete you? Don't ask me why. Let's see what we got over at content so I can delete some things. Lives. And we're just going to edit and I don't need all that stuff. I need you to go away. Fuck it! Delete forever. Delete forever. There. Look at me. Only one problem. Alright. Back to Dracula.
Shoppers Beauty Plus event. Discover even more beauty. Shop now at shoppersjugmart.ca.
One for you, one for me.
I brought it in.
Open openings such as there are here. Steep little closes, or wines as they call them in Scotland. My heart beat so loud all the time that sometimes I thought I should faint. I was filled with anxiety about Lucy, not only for her health, lest she should suffer from the exposure, but for her reputation in case the story should get wind. When we got in and had washed our feet and had said a prayer of thankfulness together, I tucked her into bed. Before falling asleep, she asked, even implored, not to say a word to anyone, even her mother, about her sleepwalking adventure. I hesitated at first to promise, but on thinking of the state of her mother's health and how the knowledge of such a thing would fret her, and thinking too of how such a story might become distorted, nay, infallibly would, in case it should leak out, I thought it wiser to do so. I hope I did right. I have locked the door, and the key is tied to my wrist, so perhaps I shall not again be disturbed. Lucy is sleeping soundly. The reflex of the dawn is high, and far over the sea. Same day,
Look at those
noon.
out.
All goes well. Lucy slept till I woke her, and seemed to have not even changed her side. The adventure of the night does not seem to have harmed her. On the contrary, it has benefited her. She looks better this morning than she has done for weeks. I was sorry to notice that my clumsiness with the safety pin hurt her. Indeed, it might have been serious, for the skin of her throat was pierced. I must have pinched up a piece of loose skin and have transfixed it. There are two little red points like pinpricks.
Dun dun
On
dun.
her dress was a drop of blood. When I apologized and was concerned about it, she laughed and petted me, and said she did not even feel it. Fortunately, it cannot leave a scar, as it is so tiny. Same day, night. We passed a happy day. The air was clear and the sun bright, and there was a cool breeze. We took our lunch to Mulgrave Woods, Mrs. Westerner driving by the road, and Lucy and I walking by the cliff path and joining her at the gate. I felt a little sad myself, for I could not but feel how absolutely happy it would have been had Jonathan been with me. But there, I must only be patient. In the evening we strolled in the casino terrace and heard some good music by Spohr and Mackenzie, and went to bed early. Lucy seems more restful than she has been for some time, and fell asleep at once. I shall lock the door and secure the key the same as before, though I do not expect any trouble tonight. August. My expectations were wrong, for twice during the night I was wakened by Lucy trying to get out. She seemed, even in her sleep, to be a little impatient at finding the door shut, and went back to bed under a sort of protest. I woke with the dawn and heard the birds cheeping outside of the window. Lucy woke too, and I was glad to see it was even better than on the previous morning. All her old gaiety and manner seemed to have come back. She came and snuggled in beside me and told me all about Arthur. I told her how anxious I was about Jonathan, and then she tried to comfort me. Well, she succeeded somewhat, for though sympathy can't alter facts, it can help to make them more bearable. 13th of August. Another quiet day, into bed with the key on my wrist as before. Again I awoke in the night and found Lucy sitting up in bed, still asleep, pointing to the window. I got up quietly and, pulling aside the blind, looked out. It was brilliant moonlight, and the soft effect of the light over the sea and sky merged together in one great silent mystery. It was beautiful beyond words. Between me and the moonlight flitted a great bat, coming and going in great whirling circles. Once or twice it came quite close, but was, I suppose, frightened at seeing me, and flitted away across the harbour towards the abbey. When I came back from the window, Lucy had lain down again, and was sleeping peacefully. She did not stir again all night. of August. On the east cliff, reading and writing all day. Lucy seems to have become as much in love with the spot as I am, and it is hard to get her away from it when it is time to come home for lunch or tea or dinner. This afternoon she made a funny remark. We were coming home for dinner, and had come to the top of the steps on the west end and stopped to look at the view, as we generally do. The setting sun, low down in the sky, was just dropping behind Kettleness, over on the East Cliff in the old abbey, and seemed to bathe everything in a beautiful rosy glow. And suddenly Lucy murmured as if to herself, "It's red eyes again. They are just the same." It was such an odd expression, coming apropos of nothing, that it quite startled me. I slewed round a little, so as to see Lucy well without seeming to stare at her, and saw that she was in a half-dreamy state, an odd look on her face that I could not quite make out. So I said nothing, but followed.
Here comes the annoying part where I start sewing and you can't hear anything. Sorry.
Whereon was a dark figure seated alone. I was a little startled myself, for it seemed for an instant as if the stranger had great eyes like burning flames. But a second look dispelled it. The red sunlight was shining on her. Refraction and reflection to make it appear as if the light moved. Terrible night up there. We never refer to it. Something, and we went home to dinner. Lucy had a headache and went early to bed. So I was for myself. It was then bright moonlight. Well seen. I threw a glance up at our window and saw Lucy's head leaning out. I thought that perhaps she was looking out for me, so I opened my handkerchief and waved. She did not notice or make any. Just then, the moonlight crept round an angle of the building.
Thanks for the thumbs up.
Distinctly, was Lucy, her head lying up against the side of the windowsill and her eyes shut. She was fast asleep. Sitting on the windowsill was something that looked like a good-sized bird. So I ran upstairs, but as I came to, she was in the bed, fast asleep. She was holding her hand to her throat as though it was cold. I tucked her up warmly. And the window securely fastened. She looks so sweet as she sleeps. She has drawn haggard eyes. I fear she's fretting about something. Why should I find out what it is? Later than usual. And slept on after we had been called. Arthur's father is better and wants the marriage to come off soon. And her mother is glad and sorry at once. Later on in the day, she told me the cause. She is grieved to lose Lucy as her very own. She rejoiced that she seemed to have someone to protect her. Sweet lady. She confided to me that she is going to She has not told Lucy and made me promise secrecy. The doctor told her that within a few months, she must die. Her heart is weakening. Even now, I'm so ashamed of shit. of Lucy's. 17th of August. No diary for 2 whole days. I have not had the heart to write. Some sort of shadow seems to be coming over our happiness. No news from John. Lucy seems to be growing weak. As hours are numbering to a close. Lucy's fading away as she is doing. She eats well and sleeps well. Enjoys her time, the roses in her cheeks are fading, and she gets weak. The key of our door always fastened to my wrist at night. She gets up and walks about the room and sits up. I could not. I managed to restore her. She was as weak as water. She cried silently between long, painful struggles for breath. When I asked her how she came to be at the window, she shook her head and turned away. It may not be from the looked at her throat as she lay asleep, and the tiny wounds seem not to have healed. They are still open, and if anything, larger than before. They're like little white dots in centers. Unless they heal within a day or two, she will cease to seeing about them. Letter. Samuel F. Billington and Son, solicitors, Whitby, to Messrs. Carter Patterson and Co. 17th August. Dear Sirs, herewith please receive invoice of goods sent by Great Northern Railway. Same are to be delivered at Cardiff. Empty, but enclosed please find keys, all of which are labelled. You will please deposit the boxes. Silent, building forming part of the house. It is the ancient chapel of the mansion. The goods leave by the train at 9:30 tonight and will be due at King's Cross at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. As our client wishes the delivery made as soon as possible, we shall be obliged by your continued journey to King's Cross at the time named and for through any routine requirements as to payment in your departments, we enclose check please acknowledge. Should the charge be less than this amount, later, we shall at once send check for difference on hearing from you. After the keys are on the way from the house, the monitor may get the money into the house by means of his duplicate key. Pray, do not take us as exceeding out of business courtesy in pressing in any ways. We are, dear sirs, faithfully yours, Samuel F. Letter. Messrs. Carter Patterson, London, to Messrs. Billington and Son, Whitby. 21st of August. Dear Sirs, we beg to acknowledge £10 received and to return cheque £1 17 shillings 9pence, amount of overplus, as shown in receipted account herewith. Goods according to instructions.
There it is.
Nina Murray's journal. 18th of August. I am happy today, and right sitting on a seat in the churchyard. Lucy is ever so much better. Last night she slept well all night, and did not disturb me once. The roses seemed coming back already to her cheeks, though she is still sadly pale and wan-looking. If she were in any way anemic, I could understand that, but she is not. She has a gay spirit, full of life and cheerfulness. All the morbid reticence seems to have passed from her, and she has just reminded me, as if I needed any reminding, of that moment. And it was here, in this very seat, I found her asleep. As she told me, she tapped playfully with the heel of her boot on the stone slab, and said, "My poor little feet didn't make much noise then. I dare say poor old Mr. Swales would have told me that it was because I didn't want to wake up Geordie." As she was in such a communicative humour, I asked her if she had dreamed at all that night. Before she answered, that sweet, puckered look came into her forehead, which Arthur, I call him Arthur from habit, says he loves. And indeed, I don't wonder that he does. Then she went on in a half-dreaming kind of way, as if trying to recall it to herself. I didn't quite dream, but it all seemed too real. I only wanted to be here in this spot. I don't know why. I was afraid of something. I don't know what. Though I suppose I was asleep, passing through the streets and over the bridge. And I leaned over to look at it. And I heard a sound. It must be full of dogs all howling at once. So I went up the steps. Something long and dark, with red eyes, just as we saw in the sunset, and something very sweet and very bitter all around me at once. And then I seemed sinking into deep green water, and just singing in my ears, as I have heard there is to drown men. And then everything seemed passing away from me, and songs seemed to go out from my body and float. I seemed to know that the house was right under me. There was a sort of as if I came back and found you shaking my body. I saw you do it before I felt you. Then she began to laugh.
Hello. Welcome to the live
It
stream.
seemed uncanny to me.
More
I listened to
Dracula.
her breathlessly.
More
I
sewing.
did not quite like it, and thought it better not to keep her mind on the subject. So we drifted on to other subjects, and Lucy was like her old self again. When we got home, the fresh breeze had braced her up, and her pale cheeks were really more rosy. Her mother rejoiced when she saw her. I spent a very 19th of August. Although not all, news of Jonathan. The dear fellow has been ill. That is why he did not write. I am not afraid to think it or say it. Mr. Hawkins sent me on the letter. I am to leave in the morning and go over to Jonathan to help to nurse him if necessary. Mr. Hawkins says it will not be I have cried over the good sister's letter till I can feel it wet against my bosom where it lies. It is of Jonathan, and must be next to my heart, for he is in my heart. My journey is all mapped out, and my luggage ready. I'm taking one jacket dress. Discovering my trunk to London, and keep it to myself for it. It may be that
Oh yeah.
I must write no more. I must keep it to say to Jonathan, my husband. The letter that he has seen and touched must comfort me. Sister Agatha, Hospital of St. Joseph and St. Mary, Budapest. To Miss who is himself not strong enough to write. The blessed man, thanks to God, St. Joseph and St. Mary, has been under our care for nearly 6 weeks, suffering from a violent brain fever. He wishes me to convey his love and to say that by this post I write from him to Mr. Peter Hawkins, Exeter, to say with his dutiful respects that he is sorry for his delay and that all his work is completed. He will require some weeks' rest in our sanatorium in the hills, but will then return. He wishes me to say that he has not so much and that he would like to pay for his staying here, so that when he is he shall not be wanting for help. Yours, with sympathy and all blessings, Sister Agatha. My patient being asleep, I open this to He has told me all about you and that you are shortly to be his wife. That seems to be good. He has had some fearful shock, so says our doctor, and in his delirium his ravings have been dreadful. Of wolves and poison, of ghosts and demons, and I fear to say of what. Nothing to excite him of this kind for a long time to come. Traces of such an illness as his do not lightly die away. We should have written more down. He came on a train from Helsingborg. The guard was told by the station master there that he rushed into the station shouting for a ticket for home. Seeing from his violent demeanour that he was English, they gave him a ticket for the furthest station on the way thither that the train reached. Cared for him. His hearts like sweetness and gentleness. He was true himself. But be careful of him, for safety's sake.
Yeah, sewing doesn't do good with audiobooks. You read much about
Dr.
them.
Seward's diary. 19th of August.
Almost done with the sewing part, though.
Strange and sudden change in Renfield last night. About 8
Here it is.
o'clock, he began to get excited and to sniff about as a dog does when sitting. The attendant was struck by his manner, and knowing my interest in him, encouraged him to talk. He is usually respectful to the attendant, and at times servile. And tonight, the man tells me, he was quite haughty. Would not condescend to talk with him at all.
Haughty.
All he would say was, "I don't want to talk to you. You don't count now. The master is at hand." The attendant thinks it is some sudden form of religious mania which has seized him. If so, we must look out for squalls. For a strong man with homicidal and religious mania at once might be dangerous. The combination is worth that one. At 9 o'clock, I visited him myself. His attitude to me was the same as that to the attendant. and his sublime self-feeling that the difference between myself and attendant seemed to him as nothing. It looks like religious mania, and he will soon think that he himself is God. These infinitesimal distinctions between man and man are too paltry for an omnipotent being. Put themselves away. The real God taketh heed lest a sparrow fall, but the God created from human vanity sees no difference between an eagle and a sparrow. Oh, if men only knew. For half an hour or more, Renfield kept getting excited in greater and greater degree. I did not pretend to be watching him, but kept strict observation all the same. All at once, that shifty look came into his eyes, which we always see when a madman has seized an idea. And with it, the shifting movement of the head and back, which a silent prince came to know so well. He became quiet, and went and sat on the edge of his bed resignedly, and looked into space with lackluster eyes. I thought I would find out if his apathy were real or only assumed, and tried to lead him to talk of his pets, a thing that should never fail to excite his attention. At first, he made no reply, but at length said testily, "Bother them all. I don't care a pin about them." "What?" I said. "You don't mean to tell me you don't care about spiders?" Spiders at present are his hobby, and the notebook is filling up with columns of small figures. To this he answered enigmatically, "The bride-maidens rejoice the eyes that wait the coming of the bride. But when the bride draweth nigh, then the maidens shine not to the eyes that are filled."
What?
He would not explain himself.
Okay, I couldn't understand it either.
Sturdily seated on his bed all the time I remained with him. I'm weary tonight, and low in spirits. I cannot but think of Lucy, and how different things might have been. If I don't sleep once, the modern Morpheus. C2HCl3 OH2O. I must be careful not to let it grow into a habit. I shall not ignite it. I have thought of Lucy, and shall not dishonour her by mixing the two. If the night should be sleepless. Glad I made the resolution. Glad I kept it. Strike only twice, when the night watchman came to me, sent up from the to say that Renfield had escaped.
Oh
I
dear.
threw on my clothes and ran down at once. Oh, she is too dangerous a person to be roaming about. Those ideas of his might work out dangerously with strangers. He said he had seen him not 10 minutes before, sleeping asleep in his bed, when he had looked through the observation trap in the door. His attention was called by the side of the window on the shout. And back and saw his feet disappear through the window, and had at once sent up for me. He was only in his night gear, and cannot be far off. The attendant thought it would be more useful to watch where he should go than to follow him, as he might lose sight of him whilst getting out of the building by the door.
Makes sense, I guess.
He is a bulky man, and couldn't get through the window. I am thin, so with his aid I got out, but feet foremost, and, as we were only a few feet above ground, landed unhurt. The attendant told me the patient had gone to the left and had taken a straight line, so I ran as quickly as I could. As I got through the belt of trees, I saw a white figure scale the high wall which separates our grounds from those of the deserted house. I ran down at once, and told the watchman to get 3 or 4 men immediately and follow me into the grounds of Carfax, in case our friend might be dangerous. I got a ladder myself, and crossing the wall, dropped down to the other side. I could see Renfield's figure just disappearing behind the angle of the house, so I ran after him. On the far side of the house, I found him pressed close against the old iron-bound oak door of the chapel. He was talking, apparently, to someone. I was afraid to go near enough to hear what he was saying, lest I might frighten him, and he should run off. Chasing an errant swarm of bees is nothing to following a naked lunatic when the fit of escaping is upon him. After a few minutes, however,
No, he was naked.
did not take note of anything around him.
Oh shit, that was
So
funny.
ventured to draw nearer to him. The more so as my men had now crossed the wall and were closing him in. I heard him say, "I am here to do your bidding, master. I am your slave, and you will reward me, for I shall be faithful. I have worshipped you long and afar off. Now that you are near, I await your commands, and you will not pass me by, will you, dear master, in your distribution of good things?" He is a selfish old beggar anyhow. He thinks of loaves and fishes even when he believes he is in a real presence. His manias make a startling combination. When we closed in on him, he fought like a tiger. He's immensely strong, and he was more like a wild beast than a man. Never saw a lunatic in such a paroxysm of rage before, and I hope I shall not again. It is a mercy that we have found out his strength and his danger in good time. With strength and determination like his, he might have done wild work before he was caged. He is safe now, at any rate. Jack Shepherd himself, his straight waistcoat keeps him restrained, and he's chained to the wall in the padded room. The silences that follow are more deadly still, but he means murder every turn. Just now, he spoke coherent words for the first time. "I shall be patient, master. It is coming. Coming.
That's what she said.
I was too excited to sleep, but this diary has quieted me. And I feel I shall get some sleep tonight.
That's the end of chapter 8. We're on to 9 and 10. See if we get 9 done tonight. Maybe part of 10, and then we can be on to the next video, which is another 7 hours long. Okay. Don't need the musical opera. It's not the... what's that one? Phantom of the Opera. Maybe we'll do that one next. Is that a book or just a play?
Chapter 9.
What?
Letter. Mina Harker to Lucy Westenra. Budapest, 24th of August. My dearest Lucy, I know you'll be anxious to hear all that has happened since we parted at the railway station at Whitby. Well, my dear, I got to Hull all right, and caught the boat to Hamburg, and then the train on here. I feel that I can hardly recall anything of the journey, except that I knew I was coming to Jonathan, and that as I should have to do some nursing, I had better get all the sleep I could. I found my dear one, oh, so thin and pale and weak looking. All the resolution has gone out of his dear eyes, and that quiet dignity which I told you was in his face has vanished. He is only a wreck of himself, and does not remember anything that has happened to him for a long time past. At least, he wants me to believe so, and I shall never ask. He has had some terrible shock, and I fear it might tax his poor brain if he were to try to recall it. Sister Agatha, who is a good creature and a born nurse, tells me that he raved of dreadful things whilst he was off his head. I wanted her to tell me what they were, but she would only cross herself and say she would never tell. That the ravings of the sick were the secrets of God, and that if a nurse through her vocation should hear them, she should respect her trust. She is a sweet, good soul, and the next day, when she saw I was troubled, she opened up the subject again, and after saying that she could never mention what my poor dear raved about, added, "I can tell you this much, my dear, that it was not about anything which he has done wrong himself, and you, as his wife-to-be, have no cause to be concerned. He has not forgotten you, or what he owes to you. His fear was of great and terrible things, which no mortal can treat of. I do believe the dear soul thought I might be jealous, lest my poor dear should have fallen in love with any other girl. The idea of my being jealous about Jonathan. And yet, my dear, let me whisper, I felt a thrill of joy through me when I knew that no other woman was a cause of trouble. I'm now sitting by his bedside, where I can see his face while he sleeps. He is waking. When he woke, he asked me for his coat, as he wanted to get something from the pocket. I asked Sister Agatha, and she brought all these things. I saw that amongst them were his notebook, and was going to ask him to let me look at it, for I knew then that I might find some clue to his trouble. But I suppose he must have seen my wish in my eyes, for he sent me over to the window, saying he wanted to be quite alone for a moment. Then he called me back, and when I came, he had his hand over the notebook, and he said to me very solemnly, "Wilhelmina." I knew then that he was in deadly earnest, for he has never called me by that name since he asked me to marry him. You know, dear, my ideas of the trust between husband and wife. There should be no secrets, no concealment. I've had a great shock, and when I try to think of what it is, I feel my head spin round, and I do not know if it was all real, or the dreaming of a madman. You know I have had brain fever, and
Shit, missed
that
one.
is
Fuck.
to be mad. The secret is here, and I do not want to know
2,
it.
3, 4, 5,
I
6,
want to take up my
7.
life here, with our marriage. For, my dear, we had decided to be married as soon as the formalities are complete. Are you willing, Wilhelmina, to share my ignorance? Here is the book. Take it and keep it, and read it if you will. But never let me know. Unless, indeed, some solemn day should come upon me to go back to the bitter hours, asleep or awake, sane or mad. Recorded here. He fell back exhausted, and I put the book under his pillow and kissed him. I've asked Sister Agatha to beg the Superior to let our wedding be this afternoon, and I'm waiting her reply.
Alright.
She's come and told me that the chaplain of the English Mission Church has been sent for. We are to be married in an hour, or as soon after as Jonathan awakes. Lucy, the time has come and gone. I feel very solemn, but very, very happy. Jonathan woke a little after the hour, and all was ready, and he sat up in bed, propped up with pillows. I answered his, "I will," firmly and strongly. I could hardly speak. My heart was so full that even those words seemed to choke me. The dear sisters were so kind. Please, God, I shall never, never forget them, nor the grave and sweet responsibilities I have taken upon me. I must tell you of my wedding present. The chaplain and the sisters had left me alone with my husband. Oh, Lucy. It is the first time I have written the words, my husband. Left me alone with my husband. I took the book from under his pillow and wrapped it up in white paper and tied it with a little bit of pale blue ribbon which was round my neck and sealed it over the knot with sealing wax. For my seal, I used my wedding ring. Then I kissed it and showed it to my husband and told him that I would keep it so. And then it would be an outward and visible sign for us all in our lives that we trusted each other, that I would never open it unless it were for his dear sake or for the sake of some strange hand in his. And oh, Lucy, it was the best to my wife's hand. I said, all the wide world. Past again. Oh dear, meant to have said a part of the past. But he cannot forget it. And I shall not wonder if at first he mixes it. Duty for all the days of my life. And, my dear, when he kissed me and drew me to him with his poor weak hands, it was like a very solemn pledge between us. Lucy, dear, do you know why I tell you all this? It is not only because it is all sweet to me, but because you have been, and are, very dear to me. It was my privilege to be your friend and guide when you came from the schoolroom to prepare for the world of life. I want you to see now, and with the eyes of a very happy wife, whither duty has led me, that in your own married life, you too may be all happy as I am. My dear, please Almighty God, your life may be all it promises. A long day of sunshine, and no harsh wind, no forgetting duty, no distrust. I must not wish you no pain, for that can never be. But I do hope you will be always as happy as I am now. Goodbye, my dear. I shall post this at once, and perhaps write you very soon again. I must stop, for Jonathan is waking. I must attend to my husband. Your ever-loving Mina Harker. Letter. Lucy Westenra to Mina Harker. Whitby, 30th of August. My dearest Mina, oceans of love and millions of kisses, and may you soon be in your own home with your husband. I wish you could be coming home soon enough to stay with us here. The strong air would soon restore Jonathan. It has quite restored me. I have an appetite like a cormorant. I'm full of life and sleep well. You'll be glad to know that I have quite given up walking in my sleep. I think I have not stirred out of my bed for a week. That is, when I once got into it at night. Arthur says I am getting fat. Well, I forgot to tell you that Arthur is here. We have such walks and drives and rides and rowing and tennis and fishing together that I love him more than ever. He tells me that he loves me more, but I doubt that. For at first he told me that he couldn't love me more than he did then. This is nonsense. There he is, calling to me. So, no more just at present from your loving Lucy. P.S. Mother sends her love. She seems better, poor dear.
That'll work.
P.S. We are to be married on the 28th of September.
The other
Dr.
brains didn't work.
Seward's diary. 20th of August. The case of Renfield grows even more interesting. He is now so far quieted that there are spells of cessation from his passion. For the first week after his attack, he was perpetually violent. Then one night, just as the moon rose, he grew quiet and kept murmuring to himself, "Now I can wait. Now I can wait." The attendant came to me, so I ran down at once to have a look at him. He was still in the straight waistcoat and in the padded room, but the suffused look had gone from his face, and his eyes had something of their old pleading, I might almost say cringing, softness. I was satisfied with his present condition, and directed him to be relieved. The attendants hesitated, but finally carried out my wishes without protest. It was a strange thing that the patient had humour enough to see their distrust. For, coming close to me, he said in a whisper, all the while looking furtively at them, "They think I could hurt you. Fancy me hurting you. They're fools." It was soothing, somehow, to feelings to find myself disassociated, even in the mind of this poor madman, from the others. But all the same, I do not follow his thought. Am I to take it that I have anything in common with him, so that we are, as it were, to stand together? Or has he to gain from me some good so stupendous that my well-being is needful to him? I must find out later on. Tonight he will not speak. Even the offer of a kitten, or even a full-grown cat, will not tempt him. He will only say, "I don't take any stock in cats. I have more to think of now. And I can wait. I can wait." After a while, I left him. The attendant tells me that he was quiet until just before dawn, and that then he began to get uneasy, and at length violent, until at last he fell into a paroxysm which exhausted him so that he swooned into a sort of coma.
Yeah,
3
baby.
nights as the same thing happened. Violent all day, then quiet from moonrise to sunrise. I wish I could get some clue to the cause. It would almost seem as if there was some influence.
Like, that
which
looks a
came
lot
and went.
better.
Happy thought. We shall tonight
Yeah,
play
baby.
sane wits against mad ones. He escaped before without our help. Tonight he shall escape with it. We shall give him a chance and have the men ready to follow in case they are required.
Oh God, come
23rd
here.
of August.
Kitty break.
The unexpected always happens. How well Disraeli knew life. Our bird, when he found the cage open, would not fly. So all our subtle arrangements went for naught.
Boogies in your
At any
nose.
rate, we have proved
Got it.
one thing. That the spells of
Okay.
quietness last a reasonable time. We shall in future be able to each day. I have given orders to the night attendant merely to shut him in the padded room
See how
where
smart
once
he
he's
is?
quiet until an hour before sunrise. The poor soul's body will enjoy the relief, even if his mind cannot appreciate it. Hark! The unexpected again! I am called. The patient has once more escaped.
Yeah, baby.
Later. Another night adventure. Renfield artfully waited until the attendant was entering the room to inspect. Then he dashed out past him and flew down the passage. I sent word for the attendants to follow. Again he went into the grounds of the deserted house, and we found him in the same place, pressed against the old chapel door.
Was he wearing clothes this time?
When he saw me, he became furious, and had not the attendant seized him in time, he would have tried to kill me. As we were holding him, a strange thing happened. He suddenly redoubled his efforts, and then as suddenly grew calm. I looked round instinctively, but could see nothing. Then I caught the patient's eye and followed it, but could trace nothing as it looked into the moonlit sky except a big bat, which was flapping its silent and ghostly way to the west. Bats usually wheel and flit about,
Baby.
but this one seemed to go straight on, as if it knew where it was bound for, or had some intention of its own. The patient grew calmer every instant, and presently said, "You needn't tie me. I shall go quietly." Without trouble, we came back to the house. I feel there is something ominous.
How about a
in his
YouTube channel
calm.
where I listen to audiobooks and just
Shall
pat my
not
cat?
Forget this night. Lucy Westenra's diary. Hillingham, 24th of August. I must imitate Mina and
Can I
keep
put you
writing
down
things
now?
down. Then we can have long talks when we do meet. I wonder when it will be. I wish you were with me again.
Am I scratching your
I
brain
feel
good?
so unhappy. Last night I seemed to be dreaming again, just as I was at Whitby. Perhaps it is the change of air, or getting home again. It is all dark and horrid to me, for I can remember nothing. But I am full of vague fear, and I feel so weak and worn out. When Arthur came to lunch, he looked quite grieved when he saw me, and I hadn't the spirit to try to be cheerful. I wonder if I could sleep in Mother's room tonight. I shall make an excuse and try.
Yeah, let's go for temperature.
25th of August. Another bad night. Mother did not seem to take to my proposal. She seems not too well herself, and doubtless she fears to worry me. I tried to keep awake, and succeeded for a while, but when the clock struck 12, it waked me from a doze, so I must have been falling asleep. There was a sort of scratching or flapping at the window, but I did not mind it, and as I remember no more, I suppose I must have fallen asleep. More bad dreams. I wish I could remember them. This morning I am horribly weak. My face is ghastly pale, and my throat pains me. It must be something wrong with my lungs, for I don't seem to ever get air enough. I shall try to cheer up when Arthur comes, or else I know he will be miserable to see me so. Letter. Arthur Homewood to Dr. Seward. Albemarle Hotel, 31st of August.
Yeah, it's not going good.
My dear Jack, I want you to do me a favour.
I thought he said jerk.
Lucy is ill. That is, she has no special disease, but she looks awful and is getting worse every day. I've asked her if there is any cause. I did not dare to ask her mother, for to disturb the poor lady's mind about her daughter in her present state of health would be fatal. Mrs. Westenra has confided to me that her doom is spoken. Disease of the heart, though poor Lucy does not know it yet. I am sure that there is something preying on my dear girl's mind. I am most distracted when I think of her. To look at her gives me a pang. I told her I should ask you to see her, and though she demurred at first,
Damn it.
I know why, old fellow, she finally consented. It will be a painful task for you, I know, old friend, but it is for her sake, and I must not hesitate to ask, or you to act. You are to come to lunch at Hillingham tomorrow, 2 o'clock, so as not to arouse any suspicion in Mrs. Westenra. And after lunch, Lucy will take an opportunity of being alone with you. I shall come in for tea, and we can go away together. I am filled with anxiety, and want to consult with you alone as soon as I can after you have seen her.
Hi,
Do
baby.
not fail. Arthur. Telegram. Arthur Homewood to Dr. Seward. 1st of September. I'm summoned to see my father, who is worse. I'm writing. Write me fully by tonight's post to ring. Wire
No.
me if necessary.
Alright, what am I doing now?
Letter from Dr. Seward to Arthur Homewood.
Gotta pick something.
2nd of September.
You don't have any
My
dinosaurs.
dear old fellow, with regard to Miss Westenra's health, I hasten to let you know at once that in my opinion there is not any functional disturbance or any malady that I know
Hi,
of.
baby. Bye, baby.
At the same time, I am not by any means satisfied with her appearance. She's woefully different from what she was when I saw her last. Of course, you must bear in mind that I did not have full opportunity of examination such as I should wish. Our very friendship makes a little difficulty which not even medical science or custom can bridge over. I'd better tell you exactly what happened, leaving you to draw, in a measure, your own conclusions. I shall then say what I have done and propose doing. I found Miss Westenra in seemingly gay spirits. Her mother was present. In a few seconds, I made up my mind that she was trying all she knew to mislead her mother and prevent her from being anxious. I have no doubt she guesses, she does not know, what need of caution there is. We lunched alone, and as we all exerted ourselves to be cheerful, we got, as some kind of reward for our labours, some real cheerfulness amongst us. Then Mrs. Westenra went to lie down, and Lucy was left with me. We went into her boudoir. Until we got there, her gaiety remained, for the servants were coming and going. As soon as the door was closed, however, the mask fell from her face, and she sank down into a chair with a great sigh, and hid her eyes with her hand. When I saw that her high spirits had failed, I at once took advantage of her reaction to make a diagnosis. She said to me, very sweetly, I cannot tell you how I loathe talking about myself. I reminded her that a doctor's confidence was sacred, that you were grievously anxious about her. She caught on to my meaning at once, and settled that matter in a word. Tell Arthur everything you choose. I do not care for myself, but all for him. So, I am quite free. I could easily see that she
I can't even
sought
think about what I
blood,
need to do next.
but I could not see the usual
just-
anemic signs.
So out of it.
By a chance, I was actually able to test the quality of her blood. For, in opening a window which was stiff, the cord gave way, and she cut her hand slightly with broken glass. It was a slight matter in itself, but it gave me an evident chance, and I secured a few drops of the blood and never analysed them. The qualitative analysis gives a quite normal condition, and shows, I should infer, in itself a vigorous state of health. In other physical matters, I was quite satisfied that there was no need for anxiety. But as there must be a cause somewhere, I have come to the conclusion that it must be something mental. She complains of difficulty in breathing satisfactorily at times, and of heavy, lethargic sleep, with dreams that frighten her, regarding which she can remember nothing. She says that as a child she used to walk in her sleep, and that when in Whitby the habit came back, and that once she walked out in the night and went to the East Cliff, where Miss Murray found her. But she assures me that of late the habit has not returned. I am in doubt, and so have done the best thing I know of. I have written to my old friend and master, Professor Van Helsing of Amsterdam, who knows as much about obscure
I'm learning a lot of the stories now.
as anyone in the world. I've asked him to come over, and as you told me that all things were to be at your charge, I've mentioned to him who you are and your relations to Miss Westenra. This, my dear fellow, is only in obedience to your wishes, for I'm only too proud and happy to do anything I can for her. Van Helsing would, I know, do anything for me for a personal reason. So, no matter on what ground he comes, we must accept his wishes. He's a seemingly arbitrary man, but this is because he knows what he is talking about better than anyone else. He is a philosopher and a metaphysician, and one of the most advanced scientists of his day. And he has, I believe, an absolutely open mind. This, with an iron nerve, a temper of the icebrook, an indomitable resolution, self-command, and toleration exalted from virtues to blessings, and the kindliest and truest heart that beats. These form his equipment for the noble work that he is doing for mankind. Work both in theory and practice, for his views are as wide as his all-embracing sympathy. I tell you these facts that you may know why I have such confidence in him. I've asked him to come at once. I shall see Miss Westenra tomorrow again. She is to meet me at the stores, so that I may not alarm her mother by too early a repetition of my call. Yours always, John Seward. Letter. Abraham Van Helsing, M.D., D.Ph., D. Lit, etc., etc.
Etc.
Dr. Seward. 2nd of September. My good friend, when I have received your letter, I am already coming to you. By good fortune, I can leave just at once, without wrong to any of those who have trusted me. Were fortune other, then it were bad for those who have trusted. For I come to my friend when he call me to aid those he holds dear. Tell your friend that when that time you suck from my wounds so swiftly the poison of the gangrene from that knife that our other friend, too nervous, let slip. You did more for him when he wants my aids and you call for them than all his great fortune could do. But it is pleasure added to do for him, your friend. It is to you I come. Have then rooms for me at the Great Eastern Hotel, so that I may be near to hand. And please it so arrange that we may see the young lady.
That's looking a lot better than just the plain pink.
For it is likely that I may have to return here that night. But if need be, I shall come again in 3 days, and stay longer if it must. Till then, goodbye, my friend John. Van Helsing.
Just looking a little bit better, definitely. Okay.
Letter. Dr. Seward.
Gotta seal that tomorrow.
3rd of September. My dear aunt,
You guys gotta come out.
Van Helsing has come and gone. He came on with me to Hillingham, and found that, by Lucy's discretion, her mother was lunching out, so that we were alone with her. Van Helsing made a very careful examination of the patient. He's to report to me, and I shall advise you. Of course, I was not present all the time. He is, I fear, much concerned, but says he must think. When I told him of our friendship and how you trust me in the matter, he said,
Okay.
"You must tell him all you think. Tell him what I think, if you can guess it, if you will. Nay, I am not jesting. This is no jest, but life and death. Perhaps more." I asked what he meant by that, for he was very serious. This was when we had come back to town, and he was having a cup of tea before starting on his return to Amsterdam. He would not give me any further clue. You must not be angry with him, Art, because his very reticence means that all his brains are working for her good. He will speak plainly enough when the time comes, be sure. So I told him I would simply write an account of our visit, just as if I were doing a descriptive special article for the Daily Telegraph. He seemed not to notice. Remarked that the floods in London were not quite so bad as they used to be when he was a student here. I'll get his report tomorrow, if he can possibly make it. In any case, I'd like to have a letter. Well, as to the visit. Lucy was more cheerful than on the day I first saw her, and certainly looked better.
No,
She
it
lost
was dirty.
something of the ghastly look that so upset you, and her breathing was normal. She was very sweet to the professor, as she always is, and tried to make him feel at ease, though I could see that the poor girl was making a hard struggle for it. I believe Van Helsing saw it too, for I saw the quick look under his bushy brows that I knew of old. Then he began to chat of all things, except ourselves and diseases, and with such an infinite geniality that I could see poor Lucy's pretense of animation merge into reality. Then, without any seeming change, he brought the conversation gently round to his visits, and suavely said, "My dear young miss, I have the so great pleasure because you are much beloved. That is much, my dear, even when I do not see. He told me you were down in the spirits, and that you were of a ghastly pale. To them I say, oh." And he snapped his fingers at me and went on. "But you and I shall show them how wrong they are. How can he?" And he pointed at me with the same look and gesture as that with which once he pointed me out to his class. And, or rather after, a particular occasion which he never fails to remind me of.
Shit.
Know anything of a young lady's? He has his madman to play with, and to bring them back to happiness, and to those that love them. It is much to do, and, oh, but there are rewards. That we can bestow such happiness. But the young ladies, he has no wife, no daughter. And the young do not tell themselves to the young, but to the old, like me, who have known so many sorrows and the causes of them. So, my dear, we will send him away to smoke the cigarette in the garden, whilst you and I have little talk all to ourselves. I took the hint and strolled about.
That wasn't fucking a hint, that was a sledgehammer!
And called me in. He looked grave, but said, "I have made careful examination, but there is no functional cause. With you, I agree that there has been much blood lost. It has been, but is not. But the conditions of her are in no way anemic. I have asked her to send me her maid, that I may ask her just one or two questions. That so I may not chance to miss nothing. I know well what she will say, and yet there is cause. There is always cause for everything. And I must go back home and think. You must send to me the telegram every day, and if there be cause, I shall come again. The disease, for not to be all well is a disease, interests me. And the sweet young dear, she interests me too. She charmed me, and for her, if not for you or disease, I come. As I tell you, he would not say a word more, even when we were alone. And so now, Art, you know all I know. I shall keep stern watch. I trust your poor father is rallying. It must be a terrible thing to you, my dear old fellow, to be placed in such a position between two people who are both so dear to you. I know your idea of duty to your father, and you are right to stick to it. But, if need be, I shall send you word to come at once to Lucy. So do not be over-anxious, unless you hear from me. Dr. Seward's diary, 4th of September. Zoophagus patient still keeps up our interest in him. He had
Oh,
only
come on,
one
you bastard.
outburst, and that was yesterday at the unusual time. Just before the stroke of noon, he began to grow restless. The attendant knew the symptoms, and at once summoned aid. Fortunately, the men came at a run, and were just in time. For the stroke of noon, he became so violent that it took all their strength to hold him. In about 5 minutes, however, he began to get more and more quiet, and finally sank into a sort of melancholy, in which state he has remained up to now. The attendant tells me that his screams whilst in the paroxysm were really appalling. I found my hands full when I got in, tending to some of the other patients who were frightened by him. Indeed, I can quite understand the effect, for the sounds disturbed even me, though I was some distance away. It is now after the dinner hour of the asylum, and as yet my patient sits in a corner, brooding, with a dull, sullen, woe-begone look in his face, which seems rather to indicate than to show something directly. I cannot quite understand it. Later. Another change in my patient. At 5 o'clock, I looked in on him, and found him seemingly as happy and contented as he used to be. He was catching flies and eating them, and was keeping note of his capture by making nail marks on the edge of the door between the ridges of padding. When he saw me, he came over and apologized for his bad conduct, and asked me in a very humble, cringing way to be led back to his own room and to have his notebook again. I thought it well to humour him, so he's back in his room, with the window open. He has the sugar of his tea spread out on the windowsill, and is reaping quite a harvest of flies. He is not now eating them, but putting them into a box, as of old, and is already examining the corners of his room to find a spider. I tried to get him to talk about the past few days, for any clue to his thoughts would be of immense help to me. But he would not rise. For a moment or two he looked very sad, and said in a sort of far-away voice, as though saying it rather to himself than to me, "All over, all over. He has deserted me. No hope for me now, unless I do it for myself."
Oh shit.
Then suddenly turning to me in a resolute way,
Am I a horn?
he said, "Doctor, won't you be very good to me and let me have a little more sugar? I think it would be good for me. And the flies? I said. Yes, and the flies like it too. And I like the flies. Therefore, I like it. And there are people who know so little as to think that madmen do not argue. I procured him a double supply, and left him as happy a man as, I suppose, any in the world. I wish I could fathom his mind.
Am I really out of horns already?
Midnight.
This is my last one?
Another change in him.
Jesus.
I'd been to see Miss Westenra.
Damn
who I
it!
found much better.
Alright, I'll put some eyes on.
And was standing at our own gate looking at the sunset. When once more I heard him yelling. As his room is on this side of the house, I could hear it better than in the morning. It was a shock to me to turn from the wonderful smoky beauty of a sunset over London, with its lurid lights and inky shadows, and all the marvellous tints that come on foul clouds, even as on foul water, and to realise all the grim sternness of my own cold stone building, with its wealth of breathing misery, and my own desolate heart to endure it all. I reached him just as the sun was going down, and from his window saw the red disk sink. As it sank, he became less and less frenzied, and just as it dipped, he slid from the hands that held him, an inert mass on the floor. It is wonderful, however, what intellectual recuperative power lunatics have. For within a few minutes he stood up quite calmly and looked around him. I signalled to the attendants not to hold him, for I was anxious to see what he would do. He went straight over to the window and brushed out the crumbs of sugar. Then he took his fly box and emptied it outside, and threw away the box. Then he shut the window and, crossing over, sat down on his bed. All this surprised me, so I asked him, "Are you not going to keep flies anymore?" "No," said he. "I am sick of all that rubbish." He certainly is a wonderfully interesting study. I wish I could get some glimpse of his mind or of the cause of his sudden passion. Stop. There may be a clue after all. If we could find why today his paroxysms came on at high noon and at sunset. Can it be that there is a malign influence of the sun at periods which affects certain natures, as at times the moon does others? We shall see. Telegram. Seward, London, to Van Helsing, Amsterdam. 4th of September. Patient still better today. Telegram. Seward, London, to Van Helsing, Amsterdam. 5th of September. Patient greatly improved. Good appetite. Sleeps naturally. Good spirits. Colour coming back. Telegram. Seward, London, to Van Helsing, Amsterdam. 6th of September. Terrible change for the worse. Come at once. Do not lose an hour. I hold over telegram to Homewood till have seen you.
That's an idea, but I don't know if I can cut it out straight enough. Alrighty, what are we at now? Oh, that's me. Alright, that leaves us with one more chapter in this audio book video section. And then we'll be on to the next one, which is another 7 hours. So I think I'm going to call it a night. And yeah, I know the sewing machine doesn't really help when it comes to listening to stuff. Sorry about that, but I can't really do much about it, really. But anyway, yes, thanks everyone for stopping by. I hope you have a survivable evening, and I will probably see you tomorrow night, because what else would I do with my life? Well, I might actually be working. I don't know if I can get my schedule up so I can actually see it. Alrighty, good night, everyone.